So today's speakers, I already introduced myself. Mark Chhabria is also in our office. He's going to be talking about the Electrify program. Michelle Nochisaki is with MCE Clean Energy. Kiri Platt is with the Rising Sun Center for Opportunity. Keith O'Hara with Eco Performance Builders, and Jeffery Liang with Bayren and MTC ABAG. And so today's topic, we're here to talk about these energy efficiency programs and really kind of get the conversation going into some of the things that aren't necessarily talked about with energy efficiency, like home health and comfort. Most of the time when people talk about energy efficiency, they think about solar, windows, saving energy on your bills, and of course saving the planet, lowering your greenhouse gases, which is all true. But we're trying to kind of bridge the gap between some other things that folks don't normally talk about. We're also going to be talking about current trends in energy efficiency projects and home electrification, which you may have been hearing about recently. And also we're going to get into the programs that can help pay for energy efficiency upgrades. And just some additional stats here, kind of the reason for doing this. And focusing on the built environment is that 70% of the homes built in California were before 1980, and we started implementing our energy code and the building code in California in 1974. So there's a lot of homes that are out there that aren't built to existing energy efficiency standards, and these programs kind of present a way to get those homes up to the same level as a home that was built today. Just some resources and upcoming events. Because of COVID, we are here in the online space. So we're going to be doing more of these in Marin and also around the Bay Area. I have a link here for the Bay Area Regional Energy Network. A lot of counties like Marin are doing similar talks like this. So it's online, so anybody can join. And our office is working with PG&E to do a webinar on solar and battery technology on August 8th. And you can sign up for that on our events page. And just a reminder, Mark and I especially work for the county. We're a resource for you. So if you have any questions ever, feel free to reach out to us about these programs or energy efficiency in general, and we're happy to help. And there's also a cool service through Bayren, which is the Home Energy Advisors, and they are there to kind of walk you through, everybody in the Bay Area can use them, and they walk people through energy efficiency programs with their homes, and are just there as a general resource. And Jeffrey's gonna get into that more later. So with that, I'm gonna move over to Keith's slides. Keith O'Hara is with Eco Performance Builders, and he's going to give you, here we go. He's going to give you an idea of, kind of what he sees out in the field and what types of projects people are doing to address home health, indoor air quality, and energy efficiency in their homes. So I'm going to pass it over to Keith. And Keith, you're on mute. There you go.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone for taking their Saturday to listen to us talk about homes. They asked me to present on heat pumps and air quality, and something I'm really into. So always interested in discussing it and trying to help people understand it. My company is Eco Performance Builders. We do home performance retrofits, which include usually a lot of heat pump systems, insulation, ventilation, air filtration, things like that, to just get the home to perform really well, to get high comfort, really great indoor air quality, and very efficient, and usually going all electric. You can go to the next one. And those are the goals. Basically, when we look at a house, we don't just go sell widgets or silver bullets to solve all the problems. We try to look at how the whole home performs and what's working and what's not working, with the goals of great indoor air quality, high comfort, and having an efficient home. And it's not just one thing that will get you there. There's been so many mistakes usually made on the construction of our homes when it has to do with performance that we usually just have to look at similar things each time to make all of those goals happen. And they all really work together if you look at it logically. So you go to the next one. What we end up doing on a lot of homes is we put in heat pumps, which are space heating and water heating, all electric sources for heat. And we do a lot of insulation. We end up taking out a bunch of insulation out of attics to go ahead and air seal it properly and then re-insulate it properly. We end up doing a lot of vapor barriers to condition crawl spaces to sanitize them and make it a great performance element of the home. We add in ventilation for fresh air. So we're breathing low VOC, high oxygen content, high filtration air all the time. So it's better for our health and our individual performance as well. And then obviously, like I said, heat pump water heaters. Before I talk about those or heat pumps, just heat pump in general is it's an air conditioner basically in reverse. It transfers heat from outside or from one space and puts it into another space. So this is going to be a very crash course on what it looks like. So your refrigerator takes heat from out of your refrigerator and puts it into your home. Your air conditioner takes heat from out of your home and puts it outside. A heat pump puts that in reverse and takes heat from outside and puts it inside, or into water in the case of a water heater. And it uses a process called refrigeration cycles. And for just the time being, we'll consider that a magic process that works really, really well. So we don't have to make any heat, which makes heat pumps really efficient. So they're just transferring heat. So that's why we like them so much. They're up to 300% efficient or over 300% efficient as compared to making heat directly from electricity. So in the case of water heating, which is something people are getting off of natural gas on their water heating. So we go heat pump, and one of the picture on the left is of a standalone heat pump water heater where it has the heat pump condenser on top of it. And you can see it's really tall. And on the one on the right, the actual heat pump is outside. The one on the left is a less expensive route, and it just takes up a little more room and we can distribute it out. The one on the right has no moving parts and has other reasons why it's also great. And it's pretty basic. It's not a huge thing. The manufacturers are doing a much better job of making them now, so they're more economical and they work a lot better. So you go to the next. And these are heat pump air handlers, or this is a heat pump air handler. It's basically a mini split heat pump ducted system. So they're really tiny now. We could put them anywhere. They basically, instead of a furnace making heat with natural gas, it's the heat pump taking heat from outside, putting it into this indoor coil, which is on the picture above, and distributing it with a duct system to each room of the home to deliver comfort. And it does it in a really efficient way. It doesn't put out as high of heat as a furnace, which makes the air less buoyant, which makes the mixing of the air in the home much easier to do and much more less stratified, less hot and cold spots, and just a much better mixed area. So we really like them. And they're also much smaller in capacity, whereas a furnace is really huge and too big for our Bay Area homes. These they sell in much smaller capacity, so we could put them in our homes and even multiple. So then the outdoor component is just a really small inverter, DC driven heat pump, and it's really quiet and fantastic. So you know, the next. And just quickly, I like to go over the state of our industry. So in the HVAC industry is what I'm speaking of. And in 2012, the Energy Commission did a study on, I think, 150 homes to see how much of the energy they were making with their equipment was getting into homes. And these are Title 24 highest codes in the nation homes, stamped by all kinds of people to be awesome HVAC systems. And in those brand new homes, in a random study at design conditions, they were delivering less than half of the energy they made. So we have a lot of pressure on the box makers to make these fantastic pieces of equipment, and then we're only getting about half into the actual home, which is a really, really poor way of doing it. So we're trying to get that much, much higher by measuring it. So let me go next. So one of the things we like to say is if you don't measure, you don't know. And then you have my brother on the left without a fish scale, and then my wife on the right with a fish scale. And so she obviously wins, and she has a salmon. So we just like to measure. An HVAC system is a black box where it's very non-intuitive. We don't know how it's doing unless we measure a lot of things. You can have a really horrible looking install and a really good one, and it tells you nothing about how it's actually performing, which is why the previous graph of the new homes showed up like that. Like those contractors didn't intend to install only half of the capacity into the homes. They just didn't know. So go to the next. So we measure a lot of things. We measure airflow, we measure energy input, BTU output, so heat output, and actually compare that to what the manufacturer said it can do at those conditions. And then we get a rate of actual performance, which this isn't super difficult to do. It's just not done very often. So we always ask consumers to ask for these kind of thing to be done. So next. Then we put them into weird Excel sheets and things like that. And you can even do it with scratch of paper for the calculations to determine how much efficiency is getting into the home. Next. And then determine the system power, how much energy went in, and then obviously get a really good idea of how much performance went into the home, which is our main goal. Our main goal isn't to buy a really fancy box and not deliver any of it into the home. It's to deliver as much as we can. And with this feedback, we're able to do much better design and installation, and then influence the manufacturers to do a better job as well. So next. So that's kind of what systems look like. We put these things all over the place, from dropping ceilings in hallways of homes and sliding them in there, to putting them in crawl spaces that we make sealed up so they no longer vent. We vapor barrier them and then seal them so they don't lose heat. And then when we put them in attic assemblies, we end up burying all the ducts in insulation so we don't lose or gain a bunch of heat from those as well. Most of our heat is lost through the distribution. So the slide below is all those ducts are buried, and that unit is elevated above all of the 18 inches of insulation that's under it. And the one picture above, it's in a crawl space that no longer has to vent because we vapor locked it. And so that crawl space never gets below 60 degrees. And so the heat that's lost from any distribution, the ducts, just kind of stays in the home and stays in the floor, most of it. Next. And then instead of duct systems, we have what we call a multi-zone kind of ductless mini split option that you always have the option to do with contractors. So this is basically one unit outside that would deliver many refrigerant lines around the home to deliver cassettes to each room. So you go to the next. And that's kind of what it looks like after we're not taking it apart. And then next. Oh no, next. There we go. So those are basically ductless systems that are cassettes in each room. And some people don't like them, some people do. The idea with that is we don't have all that distribution loss from the duct systems, which is why that graph of the new homes was so bad. The problem with them is that multi-zone tends to create a little bit of conflict with design, with mechanical design. So we end up with larger pieces of equipment. But it is an awesome option for homes that don't have assemblies where we can put ducted systems in that are going to perform well. So homes that have architectural elements that don't allow us to give great distribution. Next. That's a ceiling type unit. The same thing, it's ductless. There's no ducts there. That's straight from the condenser with refrigerant lines, and it just distributes into that room. Next. Oh no. So when we look at homes, we want these heat pumps, we want to install equipment. The smaller the equipment we could get in, the better. The more efficient it is, the more comfortable your home will be. And then obviously, everything just functions better. From an air quality standpoint, to an efficiency standpoint, to a comfort standpoint, we just end up doing really well when we can control how energy is being lost and gained to the home. So we look at these graphs, we put it into a mechanical engineering platform, and we can determine where energy is being lost. And most of the energy is being lost through the air leakage of the building, how leaky it is, the duct leakage, the duct conduction, and the attic usually make up more than 50%. And the great thing about that is we have access to all of those things. We don't have to tear apart walls. We don't have to tear apart windows. We can access all of those things just from where you are in your home now. So that's what we go after. And those are things that really influence air quality as well. So go ahead next. So that's an attic. These are a bunch of pictures of different attics. They're pretty gross normally. They've done a lot of wrong things, drilled holes everywhere, have lots of leaks. The main goal is we don't want attic air into our homes. So we wear respirators when we work in attics, my crew and I. So you don't wear respirators in your home. So we don't want that communication of air going into your home. So the main reason is we want to sanitize that, get it super sealed so we don't have communication between the attic and there. And we obviously have to get rid of a lot of this stuff to get it working better. It's not a very high functioning attic assembly. This is normal. They all kind of look similar to this. Next. Just more kind of junky stuff we see in attics. Next. So that's kind of what we want, right? So if we look at that picture on the right, that we removed all the insulation from one of those attics and we sealed every single crack, hole, any kind of membrane that leaked into the home from there. So we just sealed all up. So it's just awesome. It's great. It works fantastic. We don't get attic air into the home. We don't leak all the heat out of the home into the attic area. And then we just insulate over it and it works fantastic. And it's very simple. The problem is we just have to get rid of all the stuff that's in there now, because obviously we can't do that kind of a job when things have a bunch of bad insulation that's in there currently. So we use these giant vacuums and pull it all out and then seal it all up and then re-insulate. So next. And this is just infrared shots. On the left is before, obviously not a very good assembly. It shows a lot of heat being gained. And then on the right, it's after insulation. It's working much better. Those aren't the most terrific pictures, but that's what I got in there. So next. This is a crawl space. So we basically seal it all up with a vapor membrane, so a plastic membrane, and then we seal the vents. And then we have a high performance system that's now connected to the home. And then our ducts, if our distribution is in there especially, everything performs much, much better. So once again, super easy access to the crawl spaces. We don't have to tear apart walls or anything like that. And we can get a very high performance home just by doing these couple things from the attic to the crawl space and then look at the mechanical system. Next. And then we put it all into a mechanical design, which basically lets us put all of the elements of the home, the direction, where the home is located, how much insulation is there, the actual air leakage of the home, and it gives us a mechanical system, a heat pump or furnace or whatever designed, so we could decide exactly what size to put in, exactly how much air would go into each room to maintain perfect comfort throughout the home, throughout the year. And so it gives us a great blueprint to go off of as far as how to design our mechanical system perfectly for the individual home. And then change elements such as insulation measures, things like that, and to be able to see the benefits of that in a very logical point of view. Next. That's so we split it up all in multi-zones. So when you do the multi-zone, it would just be split up into different load distribution centers. So bedroom areas, office areas, living area, and have a different ductless system in each one. Next. This is just some data. We look at lots and lots of data, energy usage data, performance data, things like that, to see how homes are performing after we're done. And we look at year before, year after, to see the influence on going all electric, adding insulation, adding ventilation, and how those things influence our bills and our energy usage overall, so we can get better ideas to give to our clients so they can have a good expectation of what to see in the future. So next. So now we're going to talk about a little bit about air quality. It's all the same to me when we do quality install of these systems. We're doing it for performance, and we're also doing it for air quality, and it all works the same, and it doesn't change our process much. But we basically, when we build a duct system, this is a duct just in our shop, just to show an example. We don't want it to leak air in or out for performance, and we also don't want it to leak air in or out for air quality. So if this system is in an attic, we don't want it bringing attic air into the home, and we don't want the home to leak good air out of it. And obviously, it just doesn't make any sense that a plumber can install a plumbing system without any plumbing leakage. But the HVAC industry, the state has the standard of 5% is leakage is enough for, is okay for even brand new homes. So our goal is to have zero measurable duct leakage, because we just don't want any communication from those areas into the home, and we see no good reason for duct leakage. So we just seal it up. It's super basic. We just use this water-based duct mastic, and we just make sure nothing leaks, and we test it at the end. So you can go to the next. And then we test it and we measure it and make sure there's no leakage. We put a small pressure on it and we can see if there's any leaks. Go ahead, next. Yeah, I think we've seen that guy. So that's a duct system. Yeah, so as far as air quality goes, oh, the last slide was just the vapor barrier. It's just better for air quality. We don't allow that musty air to be sitting in the crawl space. We don't allow the crawl space to be communicating with the house without being locked down with the plastic barrier. So next. And then obviously we can't control that one on the left, the picture of that kind of nasty attic insulation area, but the one on the right, obviously we can tell that we intuitively that air doesn't go into the home very easily. So that's our goal for air quality with that and for performance. So next. And then filtration. So when we're designing mechanical systems, we want really, really good filtration. So when your system's on, it's actually pulling particulates out of the air, and then your system stays perfectly clean. So we put these filters at the grills so we can control everything that happens, and then we even seal it up and tape it up there. So we're using a MERV 13 filter, which the system is designed for, and deep pleats, so it can get a little dirty and still perform well. And basically, the more the system runs, the more particulates it pulls out of the air, which is fantastic. And then when we install small heat pumps, those systems run for longer periods of time at very low wattage, and they're continually just pulling particulates out of the air, which are big asthma triggers. Next. So this is a study from Lawrence Berkeley Labs that shows system runtime with good filtration. And the red line in the middle is as the system runs, the particulate matter, the PM 2.5 as they call it, keeps going down. Every time the system runs, which are the green areas, the particulate matter goes down. So that's our goal with filtration, is to just control the particulates with system filtration. Next. And then we have home ventilation, and it basically introduces fresh air into the home. So we can, and removes old air from outside of the home. We can do that in a balanced way or with a bath fan. This is an example of a balanced way with an HRV. So it brings in fresh filtered air, delivers it to the home, and it exhausts old stale air. And so you get high oxygen content and you get VOC removal, which is just a fantastic thing to do, especially in our work from home environment now, just to have fresh air in your home. So you have, you don't end up building up CO2 and reducing oxygen, and then you can get rid of all the contaminants that have been building up from furniture, cleaners, things like that. So it's a pretty awesome thing to do. Obviously it's not super cheap, but it is a, whenever we do them, it's just the client response is awesome. So that usually people are very, very satisfied with having fresh air into their home. Next. That's kind of what it looks like. There's a box, and in the box there's a filter, 2 filters, and a heat exchanger. And basically as the air goes out, the air coming in receives its heat energy. So if it was in the winter, you wouldn't remove 70-degree air that you conditioned in your home. You would remove the 70-degree air and it would heat up a heat exchanger. Then the cold air coming in would take the heat off of the heat exchanger and deliver it to the house. So you don't have a high energy penalty from getting fresh air. So we're basically exchanging the heat as we deliver fresh air, because we can deliver fresh air into buildings by just pumping it in. but then you have to go heat it again. So we don't really want to do a lot of that. And that's kind of what it looks like. So next. Then we obviously measure everything. So make sure each room gets exactly how much ventilation air it's supposed to get. So the home is completely controlled as far as its fresh air systems and fresh air into each room, and it's the air exchange. So we just don't want old air in every room. We want to have fresh air into every room. So next. And then there's a super geeky graph we did. So we filled a home with CO2, and we measured how much exchange the home got. So we filled the home with 6,000 parts per million of CO2 and turned on our ventilation system to make sure that our home actually exchanges air. So in these homes that we're designing, every 3 hours, all of the air is exchanged with new air. So, and this shows that we were able to actually measure that with the system on and see how our design went. And this is a little, just probably over the edge of what most people would want to do, but it just gave us great ideas of what ventilation systems can do and how the design works and how the install works and how homes really function. Because just to put these boxes in and hope for the best is one thing, but to actually be able to produce results that you can measure so you can see exactly how much fresh air is coming into your home, when it's coming in, and what rooms it's going to. So we're able to definitively understand how it works and make these old homes that are in great neighborhoods and where people want to live have really great air quality, really great comfort, be super efficient, and in a lot of cases be all electric. So this is kind of that was kind of a super fast report on how we look at homes, and the following people coming up will be able to tell you the rebate programs that are available to help pay for some of this. And if you're in an old home that you're unhappy with or uncomfortable with, usually just by looking at those things, you don't have to tear down your house or anything. If you just look at those things, those elements of working together, and you could just try to and we could look at them all at one time and just fix them, you can have a home that performs better than a new home and has much better air quality. So that's kind of it.
Awesome, thanks, Keith. So we're gonna move into some of those programs that can help pay for these upgrades. And next we have Michelle Nochisaki with MCE Clean Energy. I'm gonna queue up her slides here. All right.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, folks. As Kellen said, Michelle Nochisaki with MCE, here to just give you a brief overview of some of our single-family program offerings in Marin County. I will say that my overview is going to be brief, and I believe Kellen will be sending out sometime next week a resource document. So while this will just be kind of like a quick overview, you will have access to links and flyers that give you more information on how to participate in these programs if you'd like to. Next slide. So quickly, just MCE is a renewable electricity provider in Marin County. We are California's first CCA, and in addition to our mission, which is to address climate change by reducing energy-related greenhouse gas emissions with renewable energy and energy efficiency, we are also focused on making sure we have cost-competitive rates, offer economic and workforce benefits, and create more equitable communities. And then the only other thing I'd add on top of that is we want to make sure that we are doing the best that we can to serve our customers. And so one of the things that we see as being a need in doing that is what we call our SPOC, or our single point of contact method, in which we try to coordinate our programs that we provide with our local community partners, county partners, local agencies to braid resources, and to really be kind of like a one-stop shop for our customers, so that if we can't directly provide the services, we can still get them to energy efficiency services that they may need. Next slide. Okay, so up first is MCE Healthy Homes program. This program is near and dear to my heart because I am the one who runs it. And this program is in partnership with a handful of folks in Marin, Marin Housing Authority, Community Action Marin, the County Health and Human Services, Marin Center for Independent Living, and Marin Community Foundation, who helps fund this initiative. And the way that this program is set up is we have essentially layered a comprehensive assessment, an assessment that focuses on your home's health, safety, accessibility, and energy efficiency measures with Marin County's LIHEAP partner. And so what that means is that for individuals who qualify for the LIHEAP program, they can receive access to one-time bill assistance through Community Action Marin, and then free energy efficiency LIHEAP program through Central Coast Energy Services, who serves Marin County, and then receive up to $5,000 in additional health, safety, and energy efficiency improvements through MCE's Healthy Homes. And in addition to that, other coordinated services and resources through our local agencies in Marin. And so again, for folks who are eligible for the LIHEAP program, this coordinated effort is really a great resource. It touches on the energy efficiency, the other health and safety measures that might defer your home from taking advantage of these energy efficiency programs, and overall leaves your your home safer, healthier, more energy efficient, and more comfortable. Next slide. So up next, going along with the health theme, resiliency is obviously top of mind for folks in Marin. So MCE has recently dedicated up to $6 million towards resiliency initiatives throughout its service territory. But the one that I'm going to talk about today is what we call our Yeti battery giveaway. So MCE has partnered with Marin Center for Independent Living, and has purchased 100 Goal Zero Yeti 3000 batteries. So these are these are portable batteries for folks that are currently using life-sustaining medical support devices, who need to make sure that they have electricity regardless of if there is a PSPS event. And so what we've done is we've partnered with Marin Center for Independent Living. Marin Center for Independent Living is not only providing access for folks to receive one of these portable batteries, but is also working with folks who apply to get enrolled in the medical baseline program, which could lower your utility rates if you are not on that program already. We'll also help you create a disaster preparedness plan for when PSPS events occur, and can also help in instances where the PSPS event is lasting longer than a portable battery will suffice, and can get you in contact with other resources during those PSPS events. And so I put a little link down there, but again, Kellen will be sending out resources for how to apply or how to get folks in touch with this program at the bottom of the slide. Next slide. Up next, we do have a single family solar rebate. So basically what MCE offers is roughly $900 to supplement other solar rebates that you might take advantage of. For this program, folks are eligible if they earn up to 80% of Marin County's median income. And what we do mostly with this program is partner with Grid Alternatives, who really provides, the majority of the incentive funding for customers to receive solar. And this $900 supplement that MCE adds in covers outstanding costs that Grid's program does not cover. So again, more resources or more information on this program coming later. But this is a partnership with Grid Alternative, MCE, and can help provide up to no-cost solar installations. Next slide. Up next, we have some transportation and electrification. So right now, MCE provides a $3,500 rebate for either new or used electric or hybrid cars for eligible customers. And in addition to that rebate, MCE can put you in touch with, I believe at the moment, there are up to 6 or 7 other rebates that can be combined with MCE's, so that, again, our customers can be getting more than just what MCE is offering for that full package. In addition to a rebate on vehicles or to purchase a vehicle, right now during this COVID shelter in place, MCE is also offering no charging at our San Rafael office. So at the moment, it is just charging. Coming later in fall 2020, we will be adding storage onto our San Rafael office. So it will also become a community resource center for other PSPS events. And for anyone in Marin who wants to take advantage of that free charge and or the free storage for PSPS coming later on down the road, all you'll need to do is download the Green Lots app to access, and you will not need to preload any funds. Next slide. And that is it. More information coming later. Info at MCE Clean Energy is always a good resource. And on to the next presenter. Thanks, Kellen.
Great, thanks, Michelle. So sticking with electrification, here we go. We're gonna move to Mark Chhabria with Marin County CDA. He's gonna talk about the Electrify program. Get the slides up, here we go.
Great, thanks, Kellen. I am Mark Chhabria from the Sustainability Team at the Marin County Community Development Agency. And as you can see, we have a few different programs available at the county that help homeowners to make their homes healthier and more efficient and more sustainable, and also better performing. And the program I'm talking about today is Electrify Marin, which is a rebate program to help homeowners replace old natural gas and propane fueled appliances with efficient electric ones. And so, like all the work we do on the county sustainability team, the program is really an effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in Marin County, but there are other benefits as well, like improved comfort and better air quality that we'll talk about today. Next slide. So why do we want people to electrify their homes? So we know that about 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions produced in Marin County come from buildings, and that is largely the result of natural gas use. We also know that a vast majority of the buildings here in the community are homes, so that's where this effort is being focused. And the electrical grid has gotten a lot cleaner in recent years, with bigger and bigger proportions of our electricity produced by renewable sources like wind and solar. So gas is a much cleaner electricity is a much cleaner source of energy than natural gas these days. So that graphic on the slide shows that the source of greenhouse gas emissions from energy use specifically, as electricity gets cleaner, the chunk of emissions that we attribute to natural gas gets bigger. So we also have better access to solar in Marin County than we used to. We have a lot of solar adoption here. We have a competitive contractor market that kind of keeps prices in check a little bit. And many homes with solar are producing more electricity than they need. And many of those homes would like to, rather than putting that electricity back onto the grid, would like to power their homes with it. And then finally, we have some newer high-performing electric appliances that make electrifying more attractive. And we heard about that from Keith a little bit. And the three that Electrify Marin incentivizes are for the three biggest uses of natural gas in the typical home, which are water heating, space heating, and cooking. Next slide. So aside from the climate impacts that we can go on and on about, there are also some important health and safety impacts of natural gas use in homes. You know, natural gas leaks are very, very common, not only in the delivery structure outside that brings the gas to your home, but also within our homes. Gas infrastructure is really aging all over the country. So there are some climate impacts to natural gas leaks for sure. And also natural gas is almost entirely methane. It's just not something that you want to be breathing. Of course, natural gas involves an open flame. So anytime there's a small flame, you're at risk for creating a bigger flame or getting burns, plenty of opportunity for accidents. And natural gas use also has a huge impact on indoor air quality, especially when we're talking about cooking with gas. Indoor gas use produces all kinds of things you don't want to breathe, like carbon monoxide and formaldehyde, which is why it's required by law to have a vented hood in your kitchen if you're using gas in there. Next slide. So moving on to the kinds of appliances we're paying rebates on. The first are heat pump water heaters. And you can see, and you saw, as Keith showed us, they look very much like a standard gas storage tank water heater, are much more energy efficient than any other type of water heater on the market. On the top of the unit, you have a heat pump, which moves heat from the surrounding air into the storage tank and heats the water with the help of a refrigerant. There are a lot of different types of heat pump water heaters on the market, and the costs vary a lot, but a standard model that looks like the picture on the right in a 50-gallon size would retail from maybe $1,350 to $1,950. And installation costs are also going to vary a lot depending on how your home is set up. So you can see that the rebates that we're offering, standard rebate of $1,000, $2,000 rebate for low-income households, makes a huge difference. And the goal is to, with these rebates, to make the cost a little bit closer to what it would be to replace your water heater with a new fossil fuel appliance, to use one of these more advanced, efficient ones. And there are also additional rebate programs available for these, including BayREN, which Jeffrey's going to talk about in a minute. You know, it can be a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle to try to make the multiple rebate programs work together, but Kellen and I are always happy to help you and kind of guide you through that. So some considerations about these as well. These appliances need a little bit more space than your gas water heater does because they depend on the air around them to work. So manufacturers usually recommend about 700 to 1,000 cubic feet of surrounding space or venting the unit to the outdoors. And another thing to consider is that these units will cool the space that they're in since they're removing heat from the air around them. So that might be fine if it's in your garage or appliance closet, but it might not be ideal if it is in your bathroom or another conditioned part of your house. Next slide. Next rebate category here are heat pumps for space heating, which we heard a little bit about earlier. These can be a great opportunity to provide both home heating and cooling with a single efficient appliance, as we're seeing much bigger demand for air conditioning in Marin County homes than we ever have before. And there are some different configurations for these systems, and Keith touched on that a little bit. But in terms of the rebate categories, we have mini split heat pumps. Many of us have seen these in hotels a lot, with an outdoor unit and one or more indoor units that can manage multiple temperature zones. They can be a great replacement for a gas wall heater, are usually installed as a non-ducted system, but not always the case. And the standard rebate for those is $800 or $3,000 for low-income households. And then the other configuration would be a central air source heat pump. Usually would be a good replacement for a central gas furnace. These will usually be using your existing duct system, And you can see from the picture that there's still an outdoor unit that feeds into a central air handler, which will then direct heat through your ducts. So the rebate here is 1,000 standard or 4,500 for income qualified households. And there can also be additional rebates and tax credits available for those too. Next slide. So our last rebate category is for cooking equipment, and our rebates are for homeowners who upgrade to induction cooktops and ranges. And some of you might have experience with induction cooking, although it has caught on a lot more in Europe and Asia than it has here. But you know, the way it works is that instead of creating heat directly, these cooktops use an electromagnetic current to heat the iron molecules in your pots and pans. So you can see from the picture that only the pan is heated on the cooktop, while the egg that's on the cooktop surface isn't getting cooked at all. So because heat isn't being directly produced, less energy is used. And because there isn't heat escaping from the outside of the pan, out and around the pan, we have faster cooking times, giving us the ability to boil water in nearly half the time and do a lot of other quick cooking. So without the natural gas combustion, you're not going to have byproducts like carbon monoxide and formaldehyde polluting your kitchen. Really, there's a long list of benefits here, and a lot of professional chefs are really passionate about cooking with induction. You know, the smooth cooking surface is really easy to clean. You have less risk of burns and fire. Won't really heat up your kitchen in the same way that traditional cooking equipment does, which is great, especially in commercial kitchens, but also in your kitchen in the summer. And just one thing to note, it's important to keep in mind that these cooktops only work with cookware that contains iron. So some of your pots and pans might not be compatible. And again, really rough estimated costs can be, you know, from 800 to 3,000 and up, depending on what kind of equipment you get. Rebates here are 250 for a standalone cooktop or 500 for a range. And the range would consist of an induction cooktop with an electric oven. And Bayren also has a rebate for this equipment. Next slide. Oops, I have some formatting problems there, but just to give you a little bit of a review of the Electrify Marin rebate amounts here. And just a note about the income qualification. A lot of homeowners in Marin County are surprised that they qualify as a low income household, because being low income is a little different in the Bay Area than it is in other places. And so just to give you an example, a 2-person household that earns less than 111,550 would qualify for the low income rebates. Also, I just want to mention that this program does not have participating contractors, which means that any contractor can do the work for you, or you can do it yourself if you're handy, but we do require that the work is done under a permit from the local building department, just to make sure it's done safely and that the gas supply is capped off safely as well. So you can find all this information and more on the program webpage at marincounty.org/electrify. Next slide. Sounds like we'll have some time for questions at the end, but I just wanted to share all my contact info with you here. And then if anybody wants to reach out, I'll be happy to talk. Thanks a lot for joining.
Great, thanks, Mark. So we're doing okay on time. We're probably going to run a couple minutes over. We just have 2 more speakers, and now I'm going to ask Jeffery, Liang with Bayren and MTC MTC ABAG to talk about the Bayren rebate program.
Great. Thank you, Kellen. And I'm going to speed through this because, want to get people to questions, but just wanted to let you know, Bayren is the 9-county collaborative. So Marin is part of that. And so we, through our programs since 2013, we've helped 10,000 projects upgrade and 10,000 homes upgrade their energy efficiency. as well, and given out over $21 million. And so, we're out there, we've been making this work for a number of years, and we do work with contractors like Keith because they know how to do this right. So if you can go to the next one. So what my slides are is essentially the rebates that you can get for the things that Keith mentioned. And so I'm not going to go into this. And Kellen will have the rebate list that he can send out to you. But as you see, a lot of the things that Keith was talking about, duct sealing or replacement. I mean, what we know is ducts leak on average 30%. That's part of the reason you're not getting that heat or cool air that you're looking for. So those are the things. And also attic and wall insulation. A lot of people come to me and they say, oh yeah, I know I need to do windows and put on solar. And I always tell them, no, that's kind of the last thing you want to do. That's why people think energy efficiency is expensive, because they're thinking about those items first, when just by doing the duct sealing and insulation, it's going to help your home a lot more. So please look into those. Next slide. And then, once you have those distribution systems better maintained and better constructed, then you increase the efficiency of your furnace and your air conditioner. And actually, we're hoping more people move to heat pumps because it's a lot cleaner. You don't have especially if you eliminate some of the duct systems, you don't get as much of that air getting sucked into the duct systems and distributed throughout the house. That's why we've been, the Bay Area is moving more and more toward these heat pump systems that Keith was mentioning. Same with the water heaters, and I will say Marin is actually probably one of the best places to do all this, because all these rebates stack together. Like the rebates that Mark mentioned can be added right on top of ours. So with a heat pump water heater, you could get $1,000 from us. There's another program in the Bay Area that gives $1,000 to the contractor. And then you add on that up to, I think, $2,000 for heat pump water heater for income qualified. And that's already $4,000. It's kind of a no-brainer. And someone mentioned, for renters, I actually rent in San Francisco, and our water heater also went out recently. And so for a renter, let your landlord know that there's all this money out there and they should take advantage of it rather than trying to find something to replace it last minute, which my family is also owns a couple of properties, and we had to do that and we weren't able to take advantage of rebates. So that's what I would say to renters as well. Next slide, please. And yeah, all these electrification measures. Oh, there's a $1,000 for the contractor. Oops, that's meant to say from Marin Clean Energy. Next, please. And the induction cooktop. Just a personal note, I have a 3-year-old, and I know I've heard the statistics that children who grew up in homes with a gas stove are 42% more likely to get asthma. And so there's other things. Induction can help reduce the carbon monoxide, the NOx gases, the formaldehyde that's created when you combust gas in the home, and especially because cooking is the levels of pollutants that we have when we cook can be higher than outdoor guidelines. So try to reduce that amount of gas burn in your home and use induction, and it actually heats pans up really quick. I use it every day. Next, please. Through August 31st, if you do a heating and cooling measure and a building shell measure, which is, building shell is like insulation and duct sealing, heating and cooling is like putting in new AC or heat pumps, then you can get $1,000 extra rebate. So we're just doing this through August 31st. So hopefully that gives you a reason to get started. Next, please. So the last thing one of the last things I want to leave you with is, think of your participating contractors as like the doctors for your home. They're vetted, they understand the systems, they test, and you see how Keith really tests the whole house. And if they don't do well, then we kick them out. So that's why you want to use a participating contractor. And that's why our program goes through participating contractors, because we want, any money that we give, our money comes from the state, from the California Public Utilities Commission, and we don't want any of this, the money that's people receive to do these upgrades to result in any health and safety concerns. So that's why we have these participating contractors. Next, please. So you can go to our website, find a contractor in your area, or next. Oh, that's how you find it. Next. Oh, there's financing options. I'm going to skip over that. If you have questions about that, you can speak to. Next. Oh, sorry. If you can just skip past the complementary programs, because Rising Sun will talk about it. Skip that one. Maybe I'll come back to that later. Okay, sorry. So there, starting to make these decisions can be somewhat daunting. So we have a home energy score program, someone who can come into your house, do check and figure out how your home performs from 1 to 10, and then give you recommendations. And you can get a $200 assessment rebate, which covers most of that cost. So just go to the homescoreca.org page to find an assessor. Next. Or really, we have this service called the Home Energy Advisor, and they're there to walk you through every step of the way. They know all the contractors and can direct you to one that, that best suits you. They know about all the other programs available out there, like the Electrify Marin programs and the MCE Green and Healthy Homes programs. And so if you don't get anything else from my part of the presentation, call this group and call this Energy Advisor, and they will walk you through the whole process. Next. So those are just kind of the call to actions, and just want to give that. I think that's it for me. So, but want to let you know that there's another program, Rising Sun, which we also sponsor, and so they are another great place to help. So just want to give some time to Kiri.
Great, thanks, Jeffrey. I'm going to queue up Kiri's slides on Rising Sun, which has been a really popular program in Marin. And traditionally, they've come out to people's homes to do, kind of low-level. Well, I'll let Kiri get into it, but yeah, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Kellen. Yeah, good morning, everyone. So yeah, I'm here on behalf of Rising Sun to share a little about our organization and our greenhouse call program, which is the no-cost water and energy efficiency upgrade service we offer to help Bay Area residents reduce their ecological footprint and to lower their utility bills. At Rising Sun, our mission is to empower individuals to achieve environmental and economic sustainability for themselves and their communities. So we offer 2 programs aimed at providing youth and adults the training and experience necessary to access sustainable career pathways. Opportunity Build is our pre-apprenticeship program designed to help adults enter the building trades. And Climate Careers is our program for young adults, youth, through which we offer our no-cost greenhouse call service. Next slide, please. So through our Climate Careers program, young adults from their local communities are trained in energy efficiency and water conservation to become energy specialists. During a typical year without COVID-19, our energy specialists perform greenhouse calls during the summer months to help residents lower their utility bills. This service is available to you because Marin County is a Bay Area partner, and it is available to homeowners and renters regardless of income. So the first step during a normal visit, our energy specialist would do a water and energy assessment of your home, a full home walkthrough. We would check where the best opportunities are to save water and energy in your home. We'll look at windows, appliances, and even test your toilet for leaks. And then step 2, based on that assessment, our team will offer whatever water and energy efficiency devices that you are eligible for, such as LEDs, smart power strips, bath and kitchen sink aerators, and shower heads. If you want any of them, our energy specialists will install those devices for you right then. And lastly, step 3, the greenhouse call is completed when our energy specialist team educates you by offering you tips and rebates to help you lower your utility bills further and maximize the efficacy of your efficiency devices. Next slide, please. So due to COVID-19, however, our 2020 program is a bit different. We are offering a no contact program by mailing no cost energy efficiency kits directly to your home. Receiving your kit is still at no cost to you and very simple. First, we need you to complete a greenhouse call survey so we can assess your home. That can be done either online or over the phone. And then you will receive your personalized energy efficiency kit in the mail. Within your kit, we include personalized tips, programs, and devices that can help you save even more. Next slide, please. So you can sign up for your greenhouse call by a couple ways. You can take this survey following the bit.ly link I have here, or you can scan the QR code there, or you can even call us at our number and leave a voicemail at extension 300, and we'll call you back so we can complete the survey over the phone. And actually, I'll go ahead and chat the link so it's a little easier to click. But yeah, that is it for me. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Kiri. I'm just going to bring up our contact slide. So we are over time, but you know, maybe we can do like 5-10 minutes of Q&A if there are any. And let's see. I'm not sure where I put that. I did want to chime in on the question about tankless. So tankless water heaters, there's kind of an interesting history with those, with the building code especially. So, you know, basically they are efficient when they're not being used. That's kind of the benefit, because a normal tank water heater is always on heating the water, but a tankless, or otherwise known as instant water heater, ramps on and delivers instant, heated water to the house. They can be expensive to install because you have to bring a fatter line, a gas line, into the house. And so in the building code, they decided to, for all new homes, they had to be pre-plumbed for the fat line. Now with the current code, you can do either that one, or they also want homes to be kind of pre-installed for heat pumps. So my dad he lives alone in San Diego, and it kind of works for him, folks that are empty nesters, that, they don't have a teenager in the house, taking long showers and that sort of thing. Because if they're being used all the time, it's basically using a lot more gas than a normal water heater. So you kind of lose the, benefits there of energy efficiency. They're really, beneficial when they're not being used. But, kind of what we got into with a lot of folks' talks is, just the idea of eliminating gas, and especially if you have excess solar on your house, using that energy to heat your water and heat your home, and kind of getting off gas entirely if that's something you're inclined to do.
It looks like we have a couple Q&A.
Here we go.
I think we have one open one if you want me to read that. There's a question: what is the range of cost for electrifying a 1,000 square foot home? I don't know, Keith, would you be able to answer this one?
Can you repeat the question?
What is the range of cost for electrifying a 1,000 square foot home?
That's complicated. I mean, it depends on what you're going to be doing, if you're going to be doing insulation measures as well. But for instance, it really depends. if you're going to be using ductless, possibly ductless as a range of like for a one zone system, maybe 4,000 to 6,000, and then to add more zones, it goes way down per unit. Because if you did 3, you'd only have 1 outdoor piece of equipment. It really depends. It's so all over the place, depending on the home's construction and things like that. But the best thing you could do is just talk to some contractors and have them come out and get some ideas of what your options are and use the one that makes the most sense for you. It's complicated to give a price over the internet with one sentence question.
Yeah, and I'll also add that you know, echo what Keith is saying about getting estimates from contractors is the best way to go. I tend to encourage people, you know, some of these kinds of home upgrades can be expensive, and not everybody has the resources to do them all at once. So I encourage people to prioritize some of their upgrades based on, you know, depending what's motivating them, but based on how much natural gas or fossil fuels an appliance is using, to really look at the useful life of the appliances they're considering replacing, and sort of start with the ones that are really reaching the end of their useful life.
Yes, I agree. Just to put in my 2 cents, I mean, especially with heat pump water heaters, all the programs that just started, and the fact that in Marin you can get essentially $3,000 to $4,000 for those, and then you could even get more for upgrading your service panel. And that's pretty. And that will cover a fair amount of those costs. I don't think we have any other open questions, but I don't know if we want, oh, looks like one popped in. I have a home built in 1911 with little insulation and single paned windows. I have a lot to do. Should I speak with an energy advisor for how to phase doing the right things first? I would say yes. And I think Keith could probably bring a little bit more color into this. But Windows manufacturers have done a great job in marketing, because that's always the first question people ask. But as this building science has shown that really insulation probably matters more, especially in our climate. And but yes, energy advisor can walk you through, and then also direct you to some of these programs for maybe you want to do a home energy score so that you can get a sense of how all the components of your home work, and how old they are, how efficient they are, and they can kind of direct you to all these programs as you give them more information. Keith, is there anything you'd want to add there?
Yeah, so what we normally do when we're trying to prioritize things to give our clients the best objective view of what's going on and what they should do is we do an energy assessment. So we'll do a full home look at it. We'll measure the building leakage, the duct leakage, infrared analysis, crawl all over the attic and the crawl space, and put it into a mechanical design to determine exactly what is going to be the most benefit to do. And then the most important thing that we try to do with prioritization is not burn any bridges for the future. So for instance, if you had some bad ducts in your attic and you wanted to insulate your attic first because the model said to do that first, you wouldn't do that because then you wouldn't be able to get into the ducts in the future. So you'd want to prioritize those things in order so you made sure you didn't put yourself in a roadblock. A lot of times we end up in homes and people have already done some things and now we have to rip it all out, or they don't have the option to go forth and do the actual thing that will build performance better. So just that whole analysis. So contractors, we created this industry where we'll go out and do this half-a-day assessment of the home and come up with a nice report, give it to you so you can easily see what are these things that are going right and wrong and what order to do them in.
Yeah, and I'd just like to chime in, kind of building on what Jeffrey was saying. So the Bay Run rebate programs and Energy Upgrade California, which is about 10 years old, it used to require people to do kind of everything at once. And way back in the day, it used to basically require people to get their whole home tested, and then their energy savings, basically what was calculated on their energy savings led to the rebate. But now you can do it, you can kind of space it out and do one thing at a time instead of having to do everything at once, which I think is a little bit more flexible for folks. Here's another question. What safety processes have been implemented for home assessments during this pandemic? That's a very good question. So that is kind of regulated in each county by their Health and Human Services or their health departments. They put out guidelines for contractors to follow. And Jeffrey, maybe you want to get into a little bit about what the communication we have with the Bayren program contractors.
Yes. So when this happened, we wanted to make sure that there was people had peace of mind as they came with our contractors coming out. And so we organized a safety protocols webinar with all of our participating contractors. And so we reviewed all the OSHA requirements. We talked about, we're actually even providing them with some safety equipment coming soon. And then we've asked them they had to sign off that they attended the webinar and agreed to follow by all local orders and all state orders. And so we know that some contractors have gone above and beyond. Keith has a great statement on his website that states everything that they're doing, but everyone who is participating in our program has signed off and attended that safety training.
And here's another question. How expensive is a home energy assessment?
I'll take that one. It depends on your house, how many systems there are, and what contractor you're dealing with. Ours start out at $400, and then if it's a super complex, really big home, it goes up from there. So it's based on the details of the home that we just asked you about 5 questions to get a good price. So
yeah, and there is kind of a distinction. There's the assessments that the Keys company would do that use a lot of diagnostic equipment like the blower door and duct blaster, which are pretty intensive. But the program that Jeffrey got into a little bit, Home Energy Score, was designed to be less intense than that. You aren't required to do diagnostic testing. It's kind of more a spot assessment, and they take about an hour or 2 depending on the size of the house. And those, Jeffrey, I don't know if you have any updated stats on those, but they tend to be around $200 to $400, and then there's a $200 rebate, which can cut into the cost. And some contractors even just kind of write it off. They collect the rebate and kind of pass that on to the customer, and maybe charge like $50 or even don't charge at all, and they kind of use it as a kind of like a referral. Right.
Yeah. It's most assessors in that program have been doing it for about that $200 or a little bit more. But I did want to just make that distinction that what Keith is doing is more comprehensive. So I think both are good, but just want to make sure that you know what's going into it, what level of assessment you're getting to.
Yeah, one's definitely more involved, and there's added benefits to that as well. Here's one maybe for Jeffrey. I'm asthmatic and I'm concerned about the air quality during PSPS events. Can Bayren give me more information about staying safe in my home and smoky environments when there's no electricity to power AC?
I may have to get back to you, but our program is mostly funded by energy efficiency dollars. So we try to partner with other groups on kind of resilience, and there's obviously some benefits, especially what we've heard is if homes are well sealed and they're ventilated properly, it's a lot less of that outdoor smoke will come into the house. And I've heard individual stories about people who when there were these fires going on, that people would all go to this one house because it was properly sealed. But I wonder, yeah, I may have to get back to you about that. If you send me an email, I'm happy to look into that more for you.
Yeah, and I would add that we're really looking into battery storage. I mentioned at the beginning that we're doing a webinar with PG&E's Pacific Energy Center on battery and solar technology. They also cover generators on there, and that's kind of giving homeowners the basic information they need to know when they're investigating battery power backup during power outages. And if you have battery backup power, you can run equipment that Keith mentioned, like air handlers and HRVs and your AC system. Yeah, but there are lots of ins and outs to that. The battery systems that power the whole house are pretty expensive, but you can kind of get a smaller system that just connects to the vital or essential parts of the home. But it can get pretty complicated, which is why we do these webinars with the experts. Here's another question, kind of general. What trends do you see in home electrification? Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that one of the biggest trends that we're seeing locally here sort of relates to the previous conversation, which is that people are really working toward making their homes more resilient for the case of public safety power shutoffs. Battery storage in conjunction with solar is definitely is definitely hot right now for homes, and having a system, a solar and battery system already in place makes some of the other electrification measures that one can take, like switching out to efficient electric appliances, kind of makes it a no-brainer for people. So I've been working on rebate projects with a lot of people who do already have solar and battery in place and are now looking to switch to electric appliances so that they can make sure that they're using all the electricity that's generated by their solar and keep things resilient for power shutoffs. So.
I'll just add that.
Oh, sorry.
I'll just add that on the state level, there's a lot of money that's coming for especially heat pump water heaters. The self-generation incentive program, it will be incentivizing heat pump water heaters in the future. That's the program that really got solar off the ground in the early 2000s. And then, a lot of city, county policies are moving toward electrification. But go ahead, Keith.
I'd just say inverter-driven heat pumps have been really great to work with and really great for our California homes. That's the biggest trend, is us being able to do a lot more with the technology that we have currently.
Yeah, and I'd add too, and Mark kind of touched on this about the grid just getting cleaner and cleaner. Some of the history of energy use in California, we used to try to encourage people to go to gas, but now that's shifting back to electricity just because of the source of electricity on the grid is a lot cleaner. Here's a question from Steve. What greener on-demand water heater, heat pump water? Oh, what's greener? On-demand water heating, so like an instant water heater. I'm assuming gas or heat pump water heater.
Yeah, I think you sort of just answered it, but as we get more and more renewable energy on the grid, the heat pump water heater gets cleaner and cleaner because we're getting cleaner and cleaner energy from it. And also that's, can be 300% efficient because it's moving heat from one place into another, not actually getting in. So that'd be my quick answer.
Heat pump.
Yeah, and definitely heat pump also. And I would say also that our vision with these electrification projects is for people to, hopefully be powering powering these appliances either with the electricity they produce themselves or through the electricity provided in the 100% renewable electricity programs that are available, such as MCE Deep Green.
Yeah, and I would add on the resiliency angle, you know, obviously PSPS events affect electricity, but in the events, you know, of like a bigger disaster, like a earthquake or something, it takes a lot longer for the gas service to be to start up again. You know, like months I've heard in some meetings. So yeah, here comes another question. Note info on home batteries in chat. Okay, that's from Green Change. They're a local group here in Marin. You should check them out. Also for batteries, there's a statewide rebate program called the SGIP. It stands for Self Generation Incentive Program. It's kind of complicated because there's money available for big public buildings and businesses, but it also provides money for homeowners. I believe they just put some more money into the homeowner pot. I'll include that in the resources that we send out.
And Kellen, I don't know if it looks like we don't have any questions, but if we did have a quick poll that I don't know, as people are leaving, if they might be willing to answer. I don't know if you can pull.
Yeah, we're 24 minutes over, so yeah, maybe let's just end it with a poll, okay, for folks that have stuck around. But yeah, thank you everybody for attending. Let's get that poll out.
Thank you, Kellen.
Jeffrey, let me know if I have to do anything for the poll.
Oh, I don't see it. But we can send it out afterwards. And it's just basically asking where people heard about it and how, and generally how old their homes are. So I don't see it popping up, so we can figure it out later.
Great. And also want to end with, you know, this is kind of new for us. So I think it went pretty smooth with the Zoom, but these are a lot less impactful than, you know, going out into the community and renting a room and doing presentations. So, you know, if there's any topics, if anybody is involved in a community group, an HOA or something like that, you know, feel free to contact our office, and we're happy to, you know, host another discussion like this. You know, like I said, they're pretty easy to do online, which is good. I do miss interacting with the community, but you know, it is what it is, as they say with COVID. You know, and maybe some silver lining as we can reach more folks online these days. So thanks everybody. Thanks to all the panelists, and have a great Saturday. We'll get you out of here. I know we went a little bit over, but yeah, everybody have a great day.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.